My parents abandoned me at birth. Now they're calling CPS to rip my daughter away. My parents told me, "We'll help you take care of it." When I got pregnant at 15, then abandoned me the day I gave birth. So, I succeeded on my own. But now, it's 9 years later, and they just re-entered my life by trying to steal my daughter with a false CPS report. I was 15 when I got pregnant. Except it wasn't on purpose. You see, like every other 15-year-old girl, my boyfriend was toxic. Like scream at you for talking to a male teacher, then go through your phone toxic. So when he caught me going to the hospital to visit my uncle without telling him, he was determined to punish me. He told me the only way he'd let me get away with it was if I let him have unprotected sex. He said that would prove that I loved him. I would have said no, but the anger in his eyes made me too scared of what would happen if I dared to refuse. So I said yes. Long story short, I got pregnant and never saw him again. I wish that was an exaggeration, but he blocked me on everything and transferred to a school across the state. I was so freaked out that I told my parents as soon as I found out. "We'll help you take care of it," was the first thing my mom said. Meanwhile, my dad just nodded quietly. I don't know why I believed them, but I did. And their words were the only reason I didn't terminate the pregnancy, because no one else wanted to come near me anymore. The entire school was calling me names, and they had spread rumors about me trying to baby trap my ex-boyfriend. So I dropped out. All I had was my parents and everything they promised me, until I gave birth. Because instead of coming home to baby Luna's nursery, I came home to all of my stuff packed up into garbage bags. I swear I thought they were pranking me. But then my mom said, "We're not cleaning up the mess you made." I looked over to my dad, who stood there with his arms crossed. "But I thought you said." "We just said that so you wouldn't terminate the pregnancy, but now we're done with you. Consider yourself disowned." I fell to the floor crying while baby Luna wailed in my arms. I had nowhere to go, and instead of helping me figure out where to go, they retreated to their bedrooms and locked the doors. I was shattered. That was my rock bottom. I ended up getting an Uber to my Aunt Diane's house, and she took me in. As soon as she showed me the bedroom, I crawled right in and fell asleep. I was still in the post-pregnancy state and life felt like it was doomed. I woke up the next morning at 4:30 a.m. to Diane shaking me awake. "If you're staying here, then you have to follow the rules," was all she said before handing me a mop. "You have to do your fair share of everything." The next few years of my life were as bad as you'd expect. Aunt Diane laid out her rules like a drill sergeant: 2 hours of house chores minimum, cook 5 dinners a week, showers limited to 5 minutes, and most importantly, if Luna wakes her up more than once in a week, we're out. Well, it was either Aunt Diane's house or the streets, so I just nodded, ready to accept my new life of modern-day servitude. Every time Luna cried at night, adrenaline would pump through my blood, and sometimes I even had to sit with her in the front yard during Chicago winters. Diane abused me in every way possible, emotionally, physically when she was drunk, and financially by taking most of my small paychecks. It reminded me of my ex-boyfriend all over again. But I only had one lifeline, a job at a 24-hour diner called Mel's where the manager Carmen let me bring Luna during night shifts. She'd sleep in the break room while I served coffee to truckers and studied for my GED between orders. Carmen became more like a mother to me than anyone ever had. She'd slip me extra food to take home and never complained when Luna got fussy. The day Luna turned 4, I finally had enough saved, $1,200 and a promise of a studio apartment from Carmen's cousin. I packed our things while Diane was at work. Not that there was much to pack: Luna's drawings, the teddy bear Carmen gave her, my GED certificate. That studio apartment was 400 square feet of heaven. On our first night, Luna and I ate McDonald's on the floor, and she said, "Mama, can we be loud here?" When I nodded, she squealed at the top of her lungs, then looked at me with wonder when no one yelled at us. For the first time in years, I felt like we might actually make it. I enrolled in community college, working toward my nursing degree. Carmen helped with childcare during my classes, and slowly, life started feeling manageable. Luna was thriving, making friends at her new elementary school, bringing home perfect attendance awards, lighting up every room she entered. For 3 beautiful years, it was just us against the world. I made the dean's list, got accepted into the nursing program at Northwestern, and even managed to save a little money. Luna learned to read early, helped me study by quizzing me with flashcards, and never once complained about our tiny apartment or second-hand clothes. But then, at Luna's school pickup, helping her carry her volcano science project to the car, I saw them. My parents standing next to a brand new BMW, looking like they'd stepped out of a magazine. My dad wore a suit that probably cost more than I made in 3 months. Suddenly, my mother was walking toward us. "Hello, sweetheart," she said, but she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at Luna with tears in her eyes. "You must be Luna." I shoved past them and practically ran to the car with Luna holding my hand. The moment I saw them drive away, I knew they'd be back. Parents who abandon you for 7 years don't suddenly grow hearts, they grow strategies. Within a week, expensive toys appeared at Luna's school. Her teacher mentioned that generous grandparents had paid for the entire class field trip to the Field Museum. Other parents started looking at me differently, whispering about the teen mom whose wealthy parents were trying to help. I knew better. This wasn't help, this was warfare. The legal papers came 3 months later. Their lawyer had been building a case, documenting my night shifts, my studio apartment, my GED instead of a proper education. I stared at the custody petition in disbelief. They wanted Luna. After 7 years of nothing, they wanted my daughter. The custody evaluator showed up during my finals week. Of course she did. Luna had the flu and was burning up with fever on the couch while I tried to study for my anatomy exam between checking her temperature. The apartment looked like a disaster zone with tissues everywhere, medicine bottles on the counter, and my textbooks scattered across the floor. The evaluator, a woman named Ms. Rodriguez, knocked 3 times before I could answer. I opened the door holding Luna's fever reducer in one hand and a thermometer in the other. She took one look at the chaos and started writing in her notebook. "I'm from Child Protective Services," she said, showing her badge. "I need to conduct a home evaluation." Luna started crying from the couch, calling for me. I rushed over to comfort her while Ms. Rodriguez walked around our tiny apartment, taking photos of everything: the dishes in the sink, the laundry basket overflowing, my study materials covering the kitchen table. "She's sick," I explained, trying to keep my voice steady. "I was about to take her to urgent care, but I have a final in 2 hours." "You're leaving a sick child alone for an exam?" Ms. Rodriguez interrupted, pen moving across her clipboard. "No, I was going to call Carmen to watch her. She owns the diner where I work. Luna knows her really well." More writing, more judging looks. Luna threw up right then, all over herself and the couch. I grabbed towels and started cleaning while Ms. Rodriguez documented everything. The next 3 hours became a nightmare. I cleaned up Luna, gave her medicine, called my professor to explain I'd missed the exam, and answered Ms. Rodriguez's endless questions. How many hours did I work? Who watched Luna during my shifts? How was I managing school and parenting? Every answer seemed wrong. My parents' lawyer called the next day. 3 lawyers, actually. They worked at some fancy firm downtown and spoke to me like I was still 15 and stupid. "Our clients are concerned about Luna's welfare," the lead attorney, Mr. Phillips, said. "A young single mother working nights, living in substandard housing. They simply want what's best for their granddaughter." Substandard. I looked around my apartment. It was small but clean, safe. 400 square feet is hardly adequate for a growing child. Our clients can provide Luna with her own bedroom, a backyard, the best schools. I hung up. But I knew this was just the beginning. The first court hearing happened 2 weeks later. I sat across from my parents for the first time in 7 years, watching them pretend to be loving grandparents. My mother wore pearls and dabbed at fake tears while describing how devastated they were to be kept from Luna. My public defender, an overworked woman named Janet, had met me 15 minutes before the hearing. She shuffled through papers while my parents' 3 lawyers presented photo after photo: Luna's school where they had apparently been volunteering, the expensive playground equipment they'd donated, the music program they'd funded. "Your Honor," Mr. Phillips said, "we're simply asking for temporary visitation rights while we assess the child's living situation. My clients have already demonstrated their commitment to Luna's education and well-being." The judge, an older man who kept checking his watch, granted supervised visitation every Saturday, 2 hours at a court-approved facility. The first visit was horrible. I dressed Luna in her nicest outfit, the one Carmen bought her for picture day. My parents showed up with bags of toys, designer clothes, and enough candy to rot every tooth in her head. "Look what Grandma brought you," my mother cooed, pulling out an American Girl doll that cost more than my weekly groceries. "Doesn't she look just like you?" Luna, sweet trusting Luna, lit up at the attention. She'd never had grandparents before, didn't understand why Mama's hands shook as I watched them play. After 3 visits, the manipulation started. Little comments Luna would repeat later. "Grandma says her house has a swimming pool." "Grandpa said I could have my own horse if I lived there." "Grandma asked if I get scared when you leave for work at night." I documented everything, but Janet barely glanced at my notes. She was handling 40 other cases, and mine wasn't special, just another custody dispute. Then they started showing up at Luna's school. I found out from another parent who thought she was being helpful, "Your mom is so sweet. She brought cupcakes for the whole class today. And your dad read during story time. Luna must be so happy to have them in her life now." The principal called me in the next week. "We're concerned," she said, sliding a folder across her desk. "Luna's been falling asleep during lessons. Her teacher notes she seems tired most mornings." "She's always been a night owl," I explained. "She has trouble falling asleep early, but she gets enough rest." "Your mother mentioned you work nights. Is Luna home alone?" "No, never. Carmen watches her, or sometimes my neighbor Mrs. Park." "I see. More notes, more judgment. Well, we'll be monitoring the situation." My parents had been documenting every school event I missed, every time I was 5 minutes late for pickup because of class, every bake sale I couldn't contribute to because groceries came first. 3 months in, Janet quit. Just like that. A quick email saying she'd taken a job in private practice and someone new would be assigned. The new lawyer, fresh out of law school, looked terrified when we met. "I've never actually done a custody case," he admitted. "But I'll do my best." My parents' team filed for expanded visitation the next week. They presented my work schedule like evidence of neglect. Photos of Luna asleep at the diner during my shifts. Testimony from the school about her fatigue. A psychologist they'd hired who'd met Luna during visitation and diagnosed attachment concerns. The guardian ad litem assigned to represent Luna's interests seemed nice at first. Ms. Walker met us at Millennium Park, pushed Luna on the swings, asked gentle questions. But after visiting my parents' estate in Lake Forest, her reports changed. "The grandparents can provide significant advantages," she wrote. "Private schooling, extracurricular opportunities, a stable 2-parent household. While the mother clearly loves Luna, love alone doesn't provide optimal circumstances." I found out later Ms. Walker and Mr. Phillips graduated from the same law school, same year. Probably friends. Everything spiraled faster after that. My parents filed motion after motion, emergency hearings for every scraped knee, every missed dentist appointment, every time Luna mentioned being tired. They twisted everything into evidence of neglect. The breaking point came during midterms. I'd arranged for Mrs. Park to pick up Luna from school while I took my pharmacology exam. But when I got out of class, my phone had 20 missed calls. Luna was gone. My parents had shown up at school with a court order saying it was their visitation day. The secretary, confused, let them take her. But it wasn't their day. They'd filed an emergency motion that morning claiming I'd violated the visitation agreement and gotten temporary custody for the weekend. I drove to their house in Lake Forest in a panic, banging on the door, demanding Luna back. They called the police. The officers looked at the court papers, looked at me crying on their doorstep, and said there was nothing they could do. "She's my daughter," I screamed. "They can't just take her." "Ma'am, you need to contact your lawyer. This is a civil matter." I spent the weekend sick with worry. My baby lawyer filed motions but couldn't get a hearing until Monday. When I finally got Luna back, she was wearing a designer dress and kept asking when she could see the pony Grandpa promised. The next court hearing was brutal. My parents' lawyers presented my erratic behavior at their house, the panic that made me miss my exam, my inability to follow court orders. They asked for primary custody with me getting supervised visitation. That's when Aunt Diane testified. I hadn't seen her since I'd left her house. She walked in wearing her best dress, was sworn in, and proceeded to destroy me. She couldn't handle the baby, Diane said. Cried all the time. I had to provide structure because she didn't know what she was doing. There were nights she'd sit outside in the cold with that screaming infant rather than properly soothe her. Did you witness neglect? Mr. Phillips prompted. She was just too young. Still is. More focused on herself than that poor child. I wanted to scream that she'd forced me outside, that she'd threatened to kick us out if Luna cried. But my replacement lawyer just sat there, overwhelmed, while Diane painted me as an incompetent child. Carmen testified the next day. Beautiful, fierce Carmen, who'd been more of a mother to me than anyone, wore her nicest dress and spoke with quiet dignity despite her accent. That girl is the best mother I ever seen, she said firmly. She work hard, study hard, everything for Luna. That baby never want for nothing. But Mr. Phillips tore her apart, questioned her immigration status, her education. Implied she was enabling child endangerment by letting Luna sleep at the diner. You're not a child care professional, are you? He asked. No, but. No teaching credentials, no child development training? I raised 4 kids. That's a no then. And you allowed a minor to work illegally in your establishment. She was 18 when. But she brought her infant to work before that? Carmen started crying, frustrated. You don't understand. She good mother, best mother. The judge looked unmoved. 2 weeks before the final hearing, Luna's teacher called me in again, this time with the school counselor present. Luna's been saying concerning things, the counselor said carefully, about rewards she'll get if she lives with her grandparents. Trips to Disney World, a pony, her own credit card when she's older. My heart jumped. Finally, someone else saw it. We'll need to file a report, the principal added. This could be considered bribery, manipulation. I waited for that report to show up in court filings. It never did. When I asked the principal, she seemed confused. We sent it to Child Services. They said they'd handle it. The final hearing was set for a Tuesday. My parents filed a custody plan the week before. Luna would live with them during the week for educational stability. I'd get weekends if I maintained employment and suitable housing. It's the best we can hope for, my terrified lawyer said. They have so much evidence. Evidence they created, I shouted. They orchestrated all of this. But who would believe me? The young mother who'd been erratic and unstable, versus the wealthy grandparents offering every advantage? The morning of the hearing, I dropped Luna at school like normal. Kissed her goodbye, told her I loved her, tried not to cry when she asked if she'd see Grandma's pony soon. I was sitting in the courthouse bathroom trying not to throw up from nerves when Carmen burst in. Luna not in school? She asked breathless. No, she's at school. Why would she? Come now. I followed Carmen to the courtroom where Luna stood next to the bailiff, still in her school uniform, backpack on her shoulders. She looked so small, so brave. Your Honor, Carmen said, Luna call me. Say she's scared. Don't want to go to grandparents' house after school like they told her. So I pick her up. The judge frowned. This child shouldn't be here. This is highly irregular. I want to talk. Luna's voice rang out clear and strong, 8 years old and fierce like her mama. Please, I need to tell you something. The courtroom froze. My parents' lawyers jumped up, objecting, but the judge held up his hand. Young lady, this isn't appropriate. They lied, Luna said quickly before anyone could stop her. Grandma and Grandpa said if I lived with them, I'd get a pony and Disney trips and my own room with a TV, but only if I don't tell anyone, they promised. They said Mama's too poor to take care of me, right? But that's not true. Luna, my mother started, reaching for her. Luna stepped back. You said you'd buy me things if I said I was tired at school. You told me to tell my teacher I fall asleep because Mama works nights, but I don't. I just like reading under my blanket with my flashlight. The judge's expression changed. Did your grandparents tell you to say things that weren't true? Luna nodded, tears streaming. They said it would help me live in a big house, but I don't want a big house. I want my mama. We eat pizza on the floor and she reads to me and helps with homework and she works hard to take care of me. They don't even know my favorite color is purple or that I hate ponies because they smell weird. Your Honor, Mr. Phillips interrupted, the child is clearly coached. By who? Carmen demanded. I just picked her up 20 minutes ago. The judge called a recess. When we returned, he had a court child advocate with him who'd spoken to Luna privately. His face was stern as he addressed the courtroom. "I've reviewed this case extensively," he began. "What I see is a young mother who has worked tirelessly to provide for her child despite significant obstacles. And I see grandparents who have used their wealth and connections to manipulate the system." My mother gasped. "Your Honor, we only want—" "I'm not finished. The court has discovered several concerning irregularities. The missing bribery report from the school. The connection between the guardian ad litem and your legal team. Most disturbing, we found records of you attempting to locate the biological father to strengthen your case." My blood ran cold. They tried to find him. The boy who'd assaulted me and vanished. "This court's primary concern is Luna's well-being," the judge continued. "She has a mother who loves her, provides for her, and has never wavered in her dedication despite being abandoned by those who should have supported her. Custody remains with the mother. The grandparents are granted supervised visitation once monthly at a neutral location, pending review in 6 months." The gavel came down. It was over. My parents tried to approach us afterward, but their lawyers pulled them away. Within a month, they'd stopped requesting their visitation. 2 months later, Carmen heard they'd moved to their winter home in Arizona. Luna never asked about them. She was too busy being 8, losing teeth and gaining attitude, helping me study for nursing school finals while we ate Chinese takeout on our apartment floor. "Mama," she said one night, looking up from her homework. "Are you sad they're gone?" I thought about it, about the parents who'd thrown me away, the grandparents who'd tried to steal her. "No, baby," I said, pulling her close. "I've got everything I need right here."